Welcome back to Cherry Pickin Fantasy Hockey Podcast. 6 must-add players today. We got a couple comments wanting some deeper ads. So I actually have 2 deeper ads. Drew has 1.
Yep.
Kept the percentage a little lower this week.
Yep,
roster percentage.
Total of less than, I think, 40. I think all of us are less than 30, though. Yeah. And then the waiver wire ads are less than 10.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Who's going to start things off here?
All right. So my first pick here, Michael Bunting, left wing, Toronto Maple Leafs. In 24 games this season, he has 17 points. He's back on that first line with Matthews and Marner and second power play. 9 points in the 5 games since the promotion. That's incredible. 17 and 24, that's a 58-point pace. I think he can do that if he stays in this role. I mentioned him in week 1 as a must-add week 1. He kind of lost that first line role.
Yeah, he did.
Gained it back. Leafs are rolling. He's it's working on that line with him and Matthews and Marner. They're going to keep him there while he's scoring points. So I would add him now. It's my number 1 must-add, and he's only 26% rostered.
Yeah, I think no one stepped up to that first line role. The Leafs were struggling when he was there, even on the first line. But even when he was demoted, they were struggling. Now they're number 1 on our power rankings right now. They are rolling, and Michael Bunting's been great on that first line. So you got to give him props to that. Definitely got to respect it. And I think that roster percentage is pretty low.
Absolutely, and the Leafs, they get him for another year next year at $900,000. So that's just incredible.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to the New Jersey Devils. I'm going Nico Hischier, 26% rostered. This is strictly because of opportunity with Jack Hughes coming back from injury. We saw sort of some flashes of what he could be before his injury. I think that Jack Hughes is a great player that is going to figure things out, and he is playing on the same line as Nico on line 1 and PP1 with New Jersey Devils. This is a guy that we're sort of just like waiting to sort of break out a little bit.
Yeah.
He kind of hasn't had like a phenomenal season. Like you look at his point production, very stale. But what I'm looking at is I'm expecting a better, like he's just bound to just have a really good season. Only 2 goals this year, but his expected goals is 6.2.
Okay.
So he's been playing good hockey. It's just about opportunity. Jack Hughes 100% makes him a more valuable fantasy player.
Are they not on separate lines?
No, they're on the same line. They have Hughes playing the wing right now.
Oh, I thought Hughes was first line center and Hischier was second line center. My apologies.
No, they have them. They have tested them out on the first line.
Oh, okay, then yeah, that's spicy.
So yeah, I think 26% rostered. I think he's worth a risk just to pick him up, see how he's playing with Hughes. If they keep that, the Devils might not keep that, but I think it's worth it right now that they have that line going.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I like it. First overall pick. Hasn't really lived up, but if he's getting Hughes back and they're on the same line, you might as well see how it goes.
Yep, for sure.
All right, so my next pick here, I love my picks this week. Second pick here, Adam Bogut, defenseman, Columbus Blue Jackets, 16% rostered. In 13 games this season, he has 4 goals, 2 assists. I have it here. Don't get it twisted. Adam Bogut is a dynamic offensive defenseman, and he has elite skill set, right? And now he has the opportunity. He is seeing first pairing minutes with Werenski and first power play as well. They have 2 defenders right now in the first power play, him and Werenski. So this is a huge opportunity for a guy who went 8th overall as an offensive defenseman to show what he's got. The highlight reel in this guy and his minimum action in the NHL is wild. They're finally giving him an opportunity to be a top pairing guy, and I think you add him because at this point in the season, there is no upside at D on your wire, and this guy's only 16% rostered. It's a diamond in the rough. Right? If you need help on D, you didn't go D early, you didn't listen, you didn't go D early in your draft, and you need a 5th, 6th defenseman, add Adam Bogut right now.
Yeah, I think it's a good call about looking at value on the back end with defense. There's not much. Zach Werenski's playing out of his mind this year. He's having a great season with Seth Jones leaving. You could probably see a little bit of regression coming, which means Bogut could step up a little more offensively for the Blue Jackets. But I think it's a huge, huge bonus seeing him on the power play 1 right now.
And the first pairing, right? Like lots of minutes. Yeah. I love it.
I agree.
He is a very good player. He was a centerpiece of that Seth Jones trade, and they're giving him a shot.
For sure. All right, so now we're going to go into some under 10% waiver wire guys. This is a guy that Drew does not like me picking, but 7% rostered. Kevin Hayes, the Philadelphia Flyers. He's only played 3 games this year. He's been injured. Look, obviously we know he's had a rough time right now. He is a staple on this Philadelphia team. Like, he's a top 6 guy. And I know you're going to say, well, Daily Faceoff has him on the 3rd line. This guy is not a 3rd line centerman. He is a 2nd line centerman for this Flyers team. His minutes show that. His power play time on ice show that this year in his 3 games played. I think that you're taking a 7% rostered guy, which means he's pretty much available in all leagues. in a 16-man, 14-man, that's where I'm targeting Kevin Hayes. The Flyers need a spark. And that's what I have written here. They need a spark, and Hazy is that guy. He's a leader on that team. He'll probably be playing with Giroux on that second line lots. I just really like you're getting a guy who, sure, he hasn't had any crazy years, but who's going to get time on the power play and play second line minutes on the wire. That's crazy for a 14-man, 16-man league.
Okay, yes. So this is an ad for a 14, 16-man league. This is a waiver wire ad, right? You're not going to drop anyone significant, a 12-teamer or a 10-teamer to get this guy. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's that dynamic of an offensive guy. I think his career has 49 points.
The thing is, though, he has been streaky in the past, which is something that you look at in a waiver wire. Like a waiver wire guy that lasts the entire season is pretty rare.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Yeah,
right?
This is a bit of a streamer. Mm-hmm. Okay, but they do like to mix up their two power plays and both play about even amount of time. They change up the lines a lot, but he's for sure probably going to be that second line center. He'll get wings like Farabee, Atkinson, maybe see a little bit of Giroux, Konechny. So yeah, if you're in you need a consistently average, consistently with a little bit of upside center in a 14, 16-man league. Yeah, add Kevin Hayes. I think I have him in our 14-man league. I
was surprised. Like, to be honest, like the 7% kind of surprised me. Like, he's a well-known name. I know he's been injured, but still 7%. You think people would just stash him until he came back, but. Love Hazy. I think that he is a great streamer.
You can add some consistent production for your team.
Yeah.
Okay, so my waiver wire guy here, I don't think anyone's going to have heard of him at all. His name is Alexei Protas.
He's been going around Twitter.
Protas, yeah. He has been because of his role, currently first line and first power play in Washington with Ovechkin and Kuznetsov. When you see a guy get a role like that, you take notice. It doesn't really matter how skilled they are. Mm-hmm. This guy is 6'6", 230. He's a former third-round pick. So far in 12 games, it's a big lad. Mm-hmm. So far in 12 games, he's got 4 points. Those 4 points have come in the most recent games because he got a promotion from the fourth line to the first line. I would add this guy right now in 14, 16, anything bigger leagues because of the role. He's playing with Ovechkin on the power play and at even strength. You can luck into some assists like that, right?
Yep.
Obviously you have to be skilled enough to play in the NHL, but like anyone that is good enough to play in the NHL playing with Ovechkin is worth an ad.
Yeah.
Right.
And
that's what I'm
you
trying
look
to
at
say.
Like a role, right? Like what's his role? It's probably going to be like bank bodies, get to the front of net, tip pucks, like
kind of like
havoc.
Cassian last week you had with McDavid
exactly.
and Draisaitl.
I see them playing the same role,
type
of thing. But like when you're playing that role with two highly skilled players, like you're just bound to get points.
Patrick Maroon had a 30-goal season, right? With like in kind of a similar role, right? So you need to add this guy for the upside of the role. I do think that the Oshie injury is what has elevated him into the top 6. They mix up the lines. They put Tom Wilson down to the second line, added Protest to the first line, and maybe Oshie coming back could affect it. But if they're rolling and he's doing well, maybe they keep him there. So add him for now, stream him in deep leagues, and see how it goes.
Yep. All right, so I'm going with the Buffalo Sabres, Jeff Skinner, 7% rostered. He's been talked about right now on TSN and Sportsnet because of the incident with Tanev, who obviously got mic'd up and ended up chirping Skinner, saying about his contract and stuff. But obviously we know that this guy probably is getting – he probably has the worst contract in the NHL for this, right?
Has been over recent years. Looks okay this year, but definitely not worth $9.5 million.
No, you kind of feel for him, but you know what? Like that has nothing to do with fantasy. When you look from a fantasy side of things, like sure he's getting overpaid, but we can't look at his production. You got to look at his production. He's got 15 points in 22 games. He's got 8 goals, and like you said, your waiver wire guy last week, Tage Thompson, was that last week or 2 weeks ago?
Tage Thompson.
He's been phenomenal. Hopefully you picked him up, but they're playing on the same line. It seems like the chemistry is there. When you're paying a guy this much money too, like you're gonna give him every opportunity to succeed.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, he deserves to be on the first line.
He's 15 points in 22 games.
Yeah.
Last year he had 14 and 50 something. So he's kind of back, right? Like a little bit.
A little bit. It's tough because like the Sabres are like they're a bad team. They're a really bad team. So
they're not like they're the 8th worst team this year.
Yeah.
7th worst team. They're not the Coyotes or Senators right now. They're
it's not like people were putting the Sabres at like the bottom of the totem pole. Like they were going to be horrendous.
And that first line of Skinner, Thompson, Olofsson, it's not bad.
It's not bad.
It would be a good second line on a contender.
Yeah.
decent second line. Tage Thompson, a little sketchy as your second line center. But, I mean, ice time's ice time, right?
Yeah, I agree.
First line, first power play. We've seen 40 goals from the past, so.
He definitely has it in him. He definitely has him in him. 7% rostered is really low.
And 6 points in his last 4 games, I think. Like,
yeah,
take a look.
All right, so that's 6 must-add players for you. Make sure you drop down below who you're adding, who we should keep an eye on, and make sure you subscribe to OwnersBox. See you guys next week.